University of Seville, to Luis Navarrete, its dean, whose enormous emptiness at this table is only comparable to the generosity that has led him to cede all kinds of protagonism. To the dean's team of the faculty, without whose titanic effort we would not have been able to enjoy all the services and comforts of this conference. To the professors and administrative and service staff of the university, the DiGRA board, the program committee, our guest speakers, our unbelievable red team of volunteers and student interns, family and friends, and last but not least, to our friend William Hoover, who was the first to place all the trust of DiGRA 2023 in our hands. All of you will always have a home in this faculty, which from now on is also a little bit yours. As a famous Sevillian poet once said, walker, there is no path. The path is made by walking. Let's walk it together and see where it takes us. Thank you very much. And now I give the floor to my colleague, Professor Juan José Vargas from the University of Seville.
Thank you, Carlos. Welcome to DiGRA 2023. I'm Juan Vargas, co-chair of the local organizing committee, and I would like to thank you for joining us at this unmissable annual meeting for international game studies. We would also like to thank the DiGRA board for entrusting the celebration of the DiGRA International Congress to the Faculty of Communication of the University of Seville. We would also like to thank the program committee for their always attentive collaboration and intense work for months. This year's edition is also a special one, not only because the, let's say, warmer than usual weather, but also because DiGRA is 20 years old. DiGRA was born practically at the same time as modern game studies, and although the tango says that 20 años no es nada, 20 years are nothing, actually a lot of things have happened in all this time. The first debates between narratology and ludology, the rhetorical study of game, the synthesis of those debates in approaches such as proceduralism and fiction theory, the transmedia understanding of the game, the eruption of the new realisms, the interest of in the medium of practically every epistemological field, from the humanities, psychology, sociology, to the natural and computer sciences. We are also living in the promise of profound changes in the very nature of games, the stabilization of cryptoeconomics, the still diffuse promise of the metaverse, and especially the arrival of artificial intelligence and the emergence of quantum computing bring with them transformations whose future is still hard to imagine. That is why we wanted to dedicate this DiGRA to the theme Limits and Margins of Games. In these 20 years, ontological and cultural dimensions of games have merged in a way that is only possible when the very notion of reality is shaken. The online merge offline model is increasingly evident, so we understand that we are at a historical turning point to the studies of our medium. It is not by chance that technological advances predates these transformations. As per Deleuze and Guattari, the desiring machines address the formations of flows and desire, and when these machines are explicitly abstract, digital, the possibilities tend to infinity. From this point of view, it does not seem strange that Seville, one of the most important cities of the European Baroque, is the headquarters of DiGRA. The understanding of infinity that is typical of the Baroque is today more notorious than ever in the digital medium and in the expansion and ontological and cultural dialectic of games. Probably, in relative terms, this is the historical moment in which we have more tools to ask the right questions about the video games of the future, if they are still called video games in the future. From this present and always looking to the future, we wish you a nice DiGRA 2023 Congress. Thank you. I give the floor to my colleague, Dr. Victor Navarro Remesal.
Thank you very much. Thank you to the local team for hosting us all during these very hot and exciting times. And I'm Victor, a part of the program committee with my esteemed colleagues Marcelo and Tania. They will talk right after me. And hello, lovely people. Hello, friends and friends-to-be. I want to welcome you again and extend a double welcome in my double capacity as member of the program committee and current president of the local chapter. Bienvenidos. Bienvenidos a Sevilla, a España. We are very happy to have you, contentos de teneros. This is not a Spanish class, sorry, this is just to give some color, some very exotic notes. It's always nice to say a couple of words in the local language. An extra note on the theme of the conference, limits and margins. Play and games have always been liminal, I don't know if marginal things. I want to say that we are liminal people. I don't know if we are marginal people, I hope not. But play and games have always been in the limits of many things, of the serious and the fun, of culture and entertainment, of the material and the symbolic, of capitalism and resistance to power. And as the conference and the association expands, we are finding new margins, as Juanjo here perfectly explained. We are constantly finding new margins, geographical margins. We are meeting new people. We have lots of new chapters. I'm going to just not name anyone in case I forgot someone, but you know that in the past few years we've had many new chapters starting and joining the team and the family, which is quite corny to say. And we are happy to see you all here exploring these limits, meeting new limits, discovering new uncovered and uncharted territories. And again, welcome, bienvenidos to these limits and margins.
Hello, good morning everyone. My name is Marcelo. It's a pleasure to be here. Coming back to DiGRA conference is always a bit like coming back to old friends, old family, even when you are seeing people for the first time. But I have here some numbers, some cold numbers to give you about this conference in particular. It was a big one. We had 438 submissions. That's a really high number. We had 43 countries represented in these submissions, and of course we have some countries and much more. The winners, if we can use this term, would be United States, Finland, and UK. But we have an amazing diversity of countries approaching and coming to DiGRA, sharing their views. And from this 438 submissions, we had 332 accepted, and the others were not. We don't like much the term rejected. We prefer to think that's not fit yet to the conference, but we soon wish to see them. And so we had an acceptance rate of 75.80%. It was pretty high, because we are trying to welcome as many submissions as possible to DiGRA. We understand that this conference has a place for sharing your ideas, a moment for not only sharing them, but challenge them and improving them with the help of our peers. So it's a very special place to not only to present what you have done, but actually to understand better how do you feel what you have done in your research and your views about the games. So I just want to be short in my talk, but after all these cold numbers, let me finish saying that it's great to be here and to see old friends in person again, and also to meet new faces, new people who are coming and joining us in this effort of understanding more and more games, and understanding games, understand also ourselves as species, as people, as community. And after all these months replying to your messages with all kinds of doubts, legitimate doubts about the conference, it's a pleasure to finally see the smile face behind those email addresses. So let's meet, let's initiate conversation, let's share, and I wish a wonderful conference to everyone. Welcome, and enjoy the conference, and let's play. Thank you.
Good morning also from my behalf. My name is Tanja. I'm the Finnish member of this quite global program committee that we've had. And also from my part, welcome to this DiGRA conference. And I want to extend the welcome to our online participants who couldn't be here for a reason or another. We have a hybrid conference ongoing, and this is a hybrid opening, I hope. Carlos, can you maybe open the website with the organizer's name? So I'm going to just give a little overview of some of the organization behind the DiGRA conference. So as you can see on the website, we have a list of names who are behind organizing this wonderful event. And I would especially like to thank at this moment the track chairs whose names should appear on the screen right now. I was thinking of amusing myself and you by reading out loud those names, but maybe not. So you can see them written there, and I want to express our heartfelt thanks to the track chairs. They have done an amazing job organizing the tracks, doing reviews, organizing the reviewing process, writing meta reviews, and helping us select the submissions who are accepted for the conference. So about the reviewing process really quickly, as you know, we have everything organized according to the tracks. The biggest one of these tracks is by far game analysis, criticism, and interpretation, so the ACI track. And second come game history and cultural context, and play and players. The smallest of them is serious games and education. And looking from behind the scenes of this reviewing process, this also gives some indication of what's happening in the field of game studies. So these track names are they're a permanent structure of the DiGRA conference, and they're a way of organizing also the research and the ideas under keywords and hashtags, so to speak, which help us in delineating the different fields of study and different ideas and different theoretical traditions that abound in this multidisciplinary field. And I'm very happy to represent a truly multidisciplinary conference and a conference program committee, which is represented by these track chairs. I also want to thank our reviewers. Many of you have also reviewed papers for this conference. Reviewing is a huge process. As you know, every submission has got 3 reviews and a meta review. It's quite a long and arduous process, but we think that it really helps the field to establish itself, to build criticism, to build knowledge. And although there are diverging views on papers and submissions, maybe, quite a nice compromise and consensus was reached at the end. And like I said, we have really placed effort on accepting PhD students and early career researchers as far as possible. I also want to thank the organizers of the conference and everyone involved, and a special welcome again to the online participants. I really hope, we all hope, that we get the hybrid conference working as much as possible. So thank you from my part, welcome everyone, and let's chat.
My name is Hanna Virman, the president of DiGRA, and I also want to extend very warm welcome for everybody to DiGRA 2023 on behalf of the current board, and I believe also on behalf of William Hooper, the previous president, who was already planning and preparing for this conference during his time on the board. I hope you had a wonderful night. You have had probably a great evening and slept well. I myself took a bicycle this morning, and I can warmly, literally recommend it to everybody. We are extremely happy to be in Sevilla today. We all know that, many of you know that conference organizing is a big task, and in these times of uncertainty in Europe, there has been an extra layer of consideration that has to do with all the costs and arrangements in terms of travel, but also the organizing of the hybrid conference has been an extremely big task for the local team. So congratulations for getting this far, and I believe we have a great conference ahead of us. I also am very much impressed by the save points, which is something that is a new thing in this extent introduced to this year's conference. Very happy to see that implemented. So Luis Navarrete, Carlos Ramirez Moreno, Juan Jose Vargas, and Irene Baina, where are you right now? Irene was here in the very beginning. Thank you so much for all the work that has gone to putting this together so far. And then, of course, the program committee. Marcelo is on the program committee, was on the program committee for the second time this time, because we have the practice of bringing the expertise from the previous conference. So one person needs to take 2 years. Thank you so much. And Tanya and Victor, enormous job done. So we are happy to be here. I remember as a master's student, a little bit less than 20 years ago, ordering online, I guess, one of the first proceedings of DiGRA conference, and that was my kind of introduction to DiGRA. And I was thinking that if we had a physical copy of the proceedings today that the master student somewhere around the world could order to home, it would probably be really a big compilation of work. So luckily we have the digital library. One important thing I want to mention is that we will have the annual general meeting on Friday, so please stay if you can. The next year's conference will be announced, and then we will have several things, distribution of tasks, and we will call for action for several themes, so please join on Friday. And with that, I wish everybody a very, very excellent conference for the coming days. Thank you.
Now we will make the coffee break, and after it we will present the first keynote speaker, Michael Santorum. Thank you. Okay. Thank you all.
Hello everyone, welcome to DiGRA 2023. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you all for joining us in the conference of our first keynote speaker. If there are three concepts that for me summarize Michael Santorum's work, these are narration, immersion, and time as implosion. We are talking about works like Rhyme, The Invisible Hours, Groundhog Day, or The Sexy Brutal, which I will not say the cliché that the environment is just another character. Rather, I believe that in them we can speak of an ecological narrative. In many of them, there is also an insistence on a post-classical narrative, on loops and variations of possible words, in which time is not an humanly calculable variable, but rather the origin of emergence. This ecological turn seems to break with his previous involvements in the development of Clive Barker's Jericho and both Castlevania's Lords of Shadow. His work at Tequila Works can be summed up nicely in Michael's own words, currently working as narrative director in games where the player do not need to kill anybody to advance in the story. If you ask me about one of the most interesting aspects of his video games is that in them you want to stay alive. Personally, I think it is an honor to have his vision as the first keynote speaker at DiGRA 2023. So without further ado, please help me welcome Michael Santorum.
Thank you very much, Juan, for the welcome. Thank you very much, DiGRA, for inviting me. Thank you, Sevilla, for having so much weather. I'm Michael. Who are you? There's no one over there. Hello, I'm Michael. Who are you? Hello, thank you. We're going to talk about games, so this is an interactive presentation, so please, if I ask something, you can just answer. Hi, I'm Michael. Who are you? Oh, much better. Thank you very much. So, what's a game mechanic? A game mechanic is something that happens in video games, like we press a button and something happens. I present myself, I'm Michael, and you say, oh, I'm whatever. And that's how the game works. We're going to make a small game mechanic. One second. Hello? Yes. From that guy from Russia to the right, if I raise my right hand, you're going to clap. That's a clap? Okay, come on, again. Okay, thank you. The left side, if I raise my left hand, you're going to stomp. You have to feed. Come on, once. One time. One hand, one time. Thank you. Welcome to our first game mechanic. It's easy? Thank you for joining me, but a game mechanic, as this one, tells something. Just clapping or stopping, not too much. But the games, what we make in games, we press buttons, we make something, but that something, that press a button, just tell us something. How can we make it? A clap or a stomp tell something. We're going to try again. I will tell you something, this. But I didn't make anything. Just clap, rest on. And you did the rest. So, where are the limits in the games that we made? I made a story, and you put the rest. So you are my limit. Am I right? Do you think so? What happens when you play a game? Do you think that you made the thing that I thought about that game? Or you're going to break it?
I'm going to break it.
Of course, the first thing that you are going to try is break the game. So thank you for making that. Glad, strong, okay. Nice. So, what tells this game mechanic? Where is the limit? You are the limit. Where is the limit in this game? This is one of my first games. I'm quite old, so yeah. The limit is inside the screen. When I tell a friend that, oh, I'm going to Seville to take about the limits in video games, she told me, oh, that's easy. It's the screen. And she was right. But in here you can see Nadal and Djokovic. Which one is what? This is Nadal. This is Djokovic. But they are in here also. But who put them in here? You. The limit is you. Your experience in real life is going to help me to tell my story. So I create the story, The Last of Us. What action I made in The Last of Us? I don't do anything. What's the main game mechanic in The Last of Us? Shoot. Everything. The action of the characters told the story. You think that that's fine? If I want to, no? No? Oh, so how do you tell the story if there's no action?
It would be a mix of what the designers have designed and what the players are actually doing within the game.
Yes, you're right. Oh. But the one in the end that makes the player make something, it's me as a game designer, because I'm the one that's going to choose the action that you are going to be able to perform. But that action, if the action tell the story, and the main thing that I can do in a game is shoot, what kind of story can I tell? If the only thing that I make is shoot and kill people.
A very aggressive story. The main.
But there's a lot of games that I need to kill half of the humanity just to save the humanity. It's like, oh, I'm killing people to save people. Well, it works. Why? Because we're used to that. Right. Did you play a game? This game?
Not yet.
It's a game about a boy. And what can you do as a boy? Can you kill? Yes, maybe sometimes, but not in this one. Because in Brian we wanted to talk about death and loss, and how can you overcome the loss of somebody. So we will see that later. But this is how we tell the story in Brian. In the brown area, you can see that we have a cinematic where we take the control and we tell something. And the white areas are the ones that you as a player have the control and you can play. Each area, each white area, we try to tell something specific to the player. As it's a game about loss, we want to have all the Daniel states, Daniel, anger, negotiation, depression, acceptance. But as a developer, it's really difficult for me to tell something what the player has a control. So I need a specific area. The brown one is the intro song, the green number 1 at the desert, the green number 2 is the song, the green number 3 with the father, and the green number 4 with the son. There is where I'm going to tell my story. And in the gameplay, I hope that you can understand what I want to tell. The thing in here is that if you don't reach the end of the game, you are not going to understand anything. That's bad, but that was something that we want to encode. You need to finish the game to see the end of the story. But more actions. I tell ChatGPT, okay, tell me the 10 most games, the more played games of all times. This is the list. What we can do here in these games? What's the main action? You can ask. You can answer. A skill or win. This is a win. I win, you lose. Sure. That's the main thing of the most played games. Mario Kart is the less killing thing, but it's a game about winning. This is a game that we know. What game can this be? Which game can I play with this layout? This is reload, crouch, jump, shot. I think that 90% of the games can be used with this layout. This is another question for ChatGPT. Give me the 10 best stories of video games. So these are games that have a really, really good story, but at the same time, what is the action that I'm performing here? It's more or less the same. So we are getting used to shoot just to advance in the story. If we don't kill anyone, we can continue. The players really like that, but they have an option. They have other options just to make the game advance. Another game mechanics. We're going to check. Papers, please. You know Papers, please? What do you make in Papers, please? You are a border officer, and you need to see passport. You can go inside the country, or you not. That's the main game mechanic, and it's the only thing that you can do. With that, you can tell a really, really complex story. You can follow the rules, or you're not. And that's something that is really interesting because usually the games don't have the possibility of changing the story. Writing a story is a quite complex process, and it's very time consuming, so usually we have one idea in mind, and we try to put that in the game. But Papers, Please has at least 3 different stories. Each of one is really, really difficult from the other. So it's not something that we used to see. The Last of Us is a really good story, but it's only one story. Can we change anything in the story of The Last of Us? Nothing. All of us has played the game, and the story has been the same. The narrative probably has varied. I played it in easy because I really bad gamer, but in the end, it's going to be always the same. I cannot choose to save the girl or not. It's like that. I want to tell this story because it's my story. I'm sorry. Card Life. Do you know Card Life? It's a pretty old game. We have three main characters. One of them has a coffee shop, another one has a backup shop, and another one is a Ukrainian game that has a shop to sell newspaper. And it's a game about life. You go to another place, you start a small business, you don't have too much money, and you need to survive. How? Oh, there's no instructions, the game is pixel art, it's pretty dark, the sound is awful, so everything is overwhelming. No one tells you how to play. And we as a player, we are not used to that. We need to tell the player, you need to do this way. And in Card Life, you don't have any clue. You need to try. And try means that you're going to fail. So trial and error is the best way to learn things. But we as players, we are not used to that because it's painful. We don't like to lose. As a player, I want to be good. I want to be the king. I want to win because I'm the best one. Even if I'm not. But I want to have the sensation that I have control over the things that I make as a player. Unpacking. I love unpacking. And it's a game about taking things out of a box and put it in my house. And what the story tells back with the things that we take out of boxes is telling that the life story of the girl from his house to the university, his first boyfriend, that is an asshole, and she needs to go back to her home, then he has another girlfriend, and yes, the only thing that we are making is taking things out of the box. So simple, so difficult to achieve. Braille is a game where the main mechanic is time, and the story is about time. I love games where the actions that we make is really tied to the story, and it's really difficult to make both things at the same time. But Braille, for me, it's a masterpiece of that. I play with time. I need to save the princess is in another castle, and in the end, time is, spoiler, don't say anything. So just play. Inside, what do we make inside? Inside, we play with a small boy that the only thing that he can do is run away. And why? Because if we stop in the middle of anywhere, they are going to kill us. So the sense of urgency to go forward, where? We don't know, but we need to advance, because otherwise we are going to die. And we learned that in the first minute of the game, because inside kills the boy in awful ways. If you can see in YouTube, how can the boy of inside die? And it's, disgusting. You can be shot, you can be eaten by dogs, you can be beaten to pieces by a shockwave. It's, and you are just a boy. You are not a soldier, no, you are just a boy. So imagine that. You are in a world that is awful, that is grey, it's full of something that want to kill you because you are no one, and the only thing that you can do is walk to the right because you hope that in that direction is the salvation. Florence is a game about life. It's a game about the girl that falls in love, and then it's not falling in love, but the life continues. So, small things that all of us know. This policy, an RPG in here, but what can you do in an RPG like this policy? Killing is not the main thing, but developing the brain functions. Instead of having more strength or things like that you use to kill people, or we can develop intelligence. Something that is not very common in RPGs, but it's still an RPG because we need to upgrade our stats, but we don't need to update the usual stats. So I love that because it's more of the same, but looking into a different direction. And Firewatch is a game about a ranger in a usual world. Nothing strange happens. It's just a forest full of things that we need to explore and try to find what's happening there. It's nothing strange, just a forest with a normal guy. And we have up there Universal Paperclips. It's a game about make paperclips. I love it because you can convert all the universe in paperclips. It's absolutely useless, but for me, it's wonderful because I'm just making paper clips with the whole universe. I think it's a fantastic idea because it's absolutely simple. It's crazy. It's madness. And this is the games that I love. I'm not saying that the games of killing are bad, no. But there's somebody here that don't play. Everyone plays in here? Oh, damn. Okay. Playing games is wonderful, but we have so many actions that we don't have in video games that it's a world full of possibilities. So we can change the actions that we make in a game just to give you the players just change your limits. Because it's really easy to make a perfect clip. It's true. Or take out things out of the box. But I think that we need to think about simple things. Things that we used to do in our normal day, but we are not used to making a video game. All of us know how to press a button just to kill anyone, but doesn't anyone kill anybody in the real life? Do something quite difficult, not useful. But I love how Florence told me a story about life and how that can help me in my real life. So I like games that tells me a story and helps me to be a better guy, a better person. So actors that we can perform back in, we have thought about this. What is this? This is a small gameplay of Half-Life. This is a cash machine, and we have price. We're going to give the change for 155 from $10. Do you know which coins are these ones? No, me neither. The play neither. So, and we have 7 seconds to give the change. Otherwise, the customer is going to get angry. So you don't know the money. You don't know which one is the 5 piece coin, or how much is the change for 155 if they gave me $10. So this specific thing is going to make me crazy because I don't know how to give change. That's crazy. In this game, this part is made by a Ukrainian guy that is in the USA, doesn't know the language, and put us, the player, in the same position as a Ukrainian guy in a foreign country, because you don't know the money, you don't know the language, everything is difficult, and if you lose 5 cents, it's going to be huge. And it's only 5 cents, but in the game, that's a lot. So with the small things, we're making big changes in the player. And this, if it works, and reproduce, sorry. Oh, it was a game around. I think it was previously, so you know, stamp, you enter, you don't enter, so that's it. So, where is the limit? Where do you have to limit? I don't know, but if I'm able to make you play with new actions, probably your limit is going to be much farther than just killing the half of the humanity just to save humanity. Or you're pressing a button for 3 seconds just to unlock the biggest computer in the world. I think that hacking a computer should be more difficult than pressing a button for 3 seconds. Well, that's how it works in video games. Ryan, we're going again with Ryan. I think this is not going to work either. No, wait, sorry. Who is this guy? Are you playing Ryan? The main character in Ryan is a boy with a red cape. This was one of the first content of the main character, Ryan. If you remember that Ryan is a game that want to talk about loss, about death. What means this guy for you? With this guy, we don't talk about death. You are the dead. You have muscles, that's pain, that chill. In the beginning, Ryan was a game about survival. In the daylight, you need to get resources, and at night, monsters came out of dark, and you need to survive. Something similar to the game that we played. Nothing at all. Because when we started Ryan, we wanted to talk about death, but this was the game that we had. So they decided just to change the game. If we want to talk about that, we need to change the main character. Do you know the cost of changing the main character? Because if we see this guy, we know what are we going to do. But if we put this guy, take it out and put a small child in his place, what can a child do? Child thinks, can jump, can scratch his bottom, he can shout to the animals, he can explore, everything is fun, and as a kid everything is possible. You can die, it's wonderful. And we choose to make that. To step down from this character, from the dead in person, to talk about that. Because it was the important thing to us. So here we have the 5 different stages of briefing, because the island was another character for us. So in here you can see the different colors of different areas. You can see the person is raining. We wanted to make the player feel how that briefing was, how, yes, making sad things in a sad environment. But someday, the guys from the Barbican is a museum from London, told us, because Tetsuya Mizuguchi, the guy behind Tetris, I think, Russ, asked to transform our game, right, in a museum installation. They wanted us to make a physical game, to put the world of Ryan in the real world. But there was another limit. This was unbelievable. The first time that they told us, we told them it's impossible. We cannot do that. Because in here we have 8 projectors, and to make 8 projectors, or we needed to have a multiplayer game with 8 boys. So in here you are seeing that Ryan, it's a multiplayer game, something that we never thought. And we have, you can see there, well, I'm going to put a bit how the piece is going to play. So you can see that there's like a light in the floor. It's like a trigger. So we let the player go to the light. And it was a light, but the people, I don't know, they thought that there was a button, so they jumped on the light. And when they jump on the light, something on the environment changes. So we lowered the players. That could be from 1 to 12, 15, just to play inside bar. But what's the problem there? When we make a game for a console, for a PC, we exactly know where is the player, what he's going to do, where he's looking at. But in here, we don't know where they. We don't have any clue if they are going to be 100 and they are going to go all of them at the same time to one of the lights, just to make one thing. So suddenly, all the limits that we have in mind change, because the action changed. Instead of using a gamepad just to move, we have a real person in the real world just moving around. And for us, it was like, oh my God, this is something that we never thought about it. And it was really fun to test. I never see the real installation in real life, because there was making places in Singapore and in Australia, and right now it's inside a box, waiting for going somewhere. I hope that sometime we will bring this to here to Europe, because we are in the installation. Kojima also has an installation. The people from that game company, I think of course, yes, the guy behind everything has an installation. But all of them was a mix between games, digital games, bringing to the real life. That change perspective, how the actions that we can make in real life can affect a digital game. And I don't think that I can show. Sorry. And as a bonus track, This is a screen, a screenshot that appears in our art book from the Keynote 10 years. It's a small piece, and this is a guy with an axe in the middle of the book. And when the artist told us, this guy is something that I cannot say to you, we thought, this is a game. We want to make this game. And it's something that we have in mind. Yes, with this screenshot. And it's something that doesn't mean that having an axe that we need to kill something. No. So, thinking actions. Simple actions, thinking the characters that can perform them. And from that, you can start making games that probably will amaze the people. So, please, let's make that, because I want to retire and play games. So, thank you, Mike Santorum, the host limits, and everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael, for your faithful and insightful words. I think now it's time for questions. I have something. I'll try. It appears to me that actions as you have portrayed them respond with the pair interaction counting that somehow resembles the pair RPG action. Are these genres doomed in some way, or do you give them the capacity of redemption?
I think that the world is really big and everything fits in there. So, please, can you give me the question I have?
Yeah, basically that. I mean, like RPG action, maybe these are like genres that more directly portray recollection, hunting, like immediate action genres. Maybe genres like puzzle, strategy could be in some way some kind of redemption for this kind of immediate action in general.
We have this coalition in here, and I think that this coalition is a good example of how to make an RPG with actions that doesn't need to kill anyone. So I think that everything is possible. It's easier to make an RPG just killing people because we know how that works. And every game is dedicated because we need to teach the player how is the world and how it can interact with that world. If the player doesn't know how to interact with the world, we need to teach them. So it's easy just to have actions that they know how to perform. It's easier to have the layout of the gamepad where one button just kill someone and another one is to shoot, because it's really easy for the player. So it needs some extra work for the designer and even more for the player. And sometimes the player doesn't want to change the way he plays. So it's a mix. We need to start making these games just to allow the player to know that there's something different that can be played. And there's a lot of people out there that doesn't play. We're special people, we are talking about video games, and all of us play video games, but there's a lot of people outside that doesn't play. That means that we can make different games just to bring them to our world and to build them.
Anyone? Yes?
Everything crystal clear, thank you.
Yes. I think
Okay, so you have covered a wide range of digital games and their limits, but can you maybe talk about, or how do you see the limits in tabletop games or non-digital type of games, like board games, but no.
Okay. I'm not really an expert about the board games, but I think that we can use the situations in here. We are used to games from board games that means win. I win, you lose. I love the games, cooperative games. They are not used to be the mainstream, but I love the change of mind just to be to need to play with another person just to make both person win. I think pandemic is a really good example of that. But, I think that we can use the same thought in board games that in here. We can make games about anything, but it's usually something that I need to get resources, I need to win. I'm not sure how we can have new ideas for games, but I think that we need to take into account the things that we know, the things that we have around us, because it is the thing that we know, and sometimes the thing that for us is something really simple, to other people that they love that simple things, because it's new for them. So I think it's a good way to start, yes. Make something that we really know about, because we like that, and try to see if the other people like that. You have there another one?
Hello. Yes, so in terms of thinking about limits of within the game, taking for example a game like Unpacking, I feel like one of the limits is also dealing with people's ability to interpret the storytelling or the nuance within the game. So how do you as a designer and also an academic kind of deal with that limitation within like a player's ability to understand or interpret the narrative or the storytelling within a game?
It's a nightmare. Yes, because I know what I want to tell, but I'm not sure if the player is going to understand that. The only way to know is just testing the game and see what happens. But there's no magical way. We work in a game called the Visible Hours, that is a VR game that you can walk around an island and you can travel through time and space within an hour. And you can be in any place, anywhere in that island in that hour. So thing happens, there are 8 characters, and we don't say anything to the player. We let the player just go. It's like a movie, and there's a lot of movies that you're seeing the movie, and I want to know what is behind that door. And we get the player the possibility of going to that door, behind that door, and see what's there. And you can see that probably there was a guy just sneaking through the door. But we didn't know if the player was going to be able to understand that. And the Visible Hours is a game that has no ending. You can play for an hour, and you can think that there's a murder, someone murdered Tesla, and you need to know who whole company was floating on me because this is going round and round around the rock. So the player has something in mind, and it's his mind. So one of the first tests with Grime, we had like a small corridor of 10 minutes long, and we gave it to a journalist just to test it, and in the first 10 meters, he get away of the corridor because he saw a toddler just behind, and he tried to jump over some rocks, and there was a hole, and they jumped out of the corridor. So 30 seconds after starting, he was outside of our path, our thing, our story, and he managed to reach the tower, and the tower was broken. There was a broken thing, and there was a strange light inside the tower, and he thought, oh, this is some kind of puzzle that is going to tell me the secret of the world. You have been lost for 10 minutes, right? This is nothing. But for him was the real idea. So we as players, we have a lot of things in our mind, and I don't know what. But I need to make a guess and try to push it. So I know what I want to tell, and I'm going to tell you this is what I have. And you are going to put it in here or in here. So welcome to the developing world. Anything else? Any more questions? Yeah.
Thank you for your talk. I think of many other things you have also kind of emphasized the idea that one of the limits is the player's expectation, which for so many of the players is the expectation for certain kind of mechanics, right? And at the same time, that puts certain kind of developers into the margins, right? So there's an interesting interplay there. You personally have experienced two kinds of margins, one of them being kind of, let's call it an indie development scene, and the other would be the art games, perhaps, because you were then presented in a context of an art gallery or an art museum. Is there anything that you could say about those two different ways of being in the margins as a designer developer?
Well, we had nothing to do. The Grime Capital was something completely different. We never thought that we could be done. And I'm not sure if it worked, because I never been there. I never walked inside that installation and see what happened. I saw people that are pretty nice, but I'm not sure what's happened. If you haven't played Grime and you go inside, I'm not sure what are you going to think about the full loop. So it's a guess. I know the game, I know what we wanted to tell in the game, but transforming that in a real installation is another guess. So, but with a lot of questions, I'm not sure if anyone is going to answer me, because right now I don't know anyone that has been inside. I'm not sure if that answers your question. Sorry. But for me, when you think about the game, it's you can think in two things. To start, just for the start point, you can think in a mechanic, like press a button and jump, or something that you want to talk. I want to talk about that, or I want to talk about happiness. And then the mechanic is the easy way, because Mario has a really easy mechanic. It's jumping, and you make a game about jumping. And the story behind Mario is, well, it's very simple. You need to save the princess. But if you think it's about something that you want to tell, just in the wall, in the wall, then you need to make something just to allow the players to make action. That is how you are going to tell that content to the player. So that's the hard part. talk about death, but what action can I make that is going to talk about death? And there's a lot of trial and error just to talk and see what happens when you think something. If you're using puzzles, what means that puzzles, you need to talk with the artist just to try to make the game look the way that you want, to just try to make the player feel something specific. Yeah. It's a lot of work and I don't have the answer. If anyone has the answer, please tell me. So I will love to hear.
Yes, one last question. We are reaching the time.
So there.
Hey, thanks for your. So this is really loud, right? I have a question for you. Do you think there are stories that can only be told in video games and not in other media, or maybe not in movies? Some kind of limits that the video games has trespassed, but other media haven't yet, or has?
The best part of video games are the players, because they get involved really hard in the things that we want to tell. And the worst part of the making games is the player, because they want to break everything that we want to tell us. So it's something that we need to balance pretty well. Because you always want to break things. What happens if I try this? Because games are really fun because you can make errors, you can fail. And that's pretty nice because failing in real life is not something that we used to do. Because failing in real life means that we can die or we are going to lose the bus or miss bad things. But in video games, it's nice that we can fail because it makes the player try things. What happens? What if? And maybe the first time you're going to play in a good way, but the second round you're going to try to reach the limits and go beyond. So